Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom Kuntu from Shanghai and I'm back for another Eurovision reaction video. Today I'm going to be going through the 10 rehearsals on day 5 of Eurovision 2022. They're the final rehearsals of the last 3 countries in semi-final number 1 and the first 7 countries in semi-final number 2. I'm going to give you my opinion, having been in the online press center and seen all the rehearsals in their final form. So let's kiki. As always, I will leave timestamps in the progress bar. I will definitely leave those because it'll be really important if you want to navigate to a particular country. As you can see, this is my board from my first video. If you haven't seen that, I will leave a link up here. Sorry, this is a little bit of a spoiler for it, but I already reviewed the rehearsals of the first 14 countries in the first semi-finals. We've got 3 left. This is my updated prediction board based on those rehearsals. I still have 3 left to do. I think for this video, it makes sense I finish semi-final number 1, and then for the first 7 songs of semi-final number 2, I will use the same system I used yesterday, where I just talk about the ones that I'm most excited about. Let's go in order today, though, of how they actually were in the running order. First up was Iceland. Now, this was, I don't know where to put this yet. This is why I'm not placing it. This was really, really lovely. It's got a very warm golden orange campfire feel with lots of fire. It looks like fireflies buzzing around. There's white fireflies on the ground and there's kind of arches of fireflies in the sky. The actual staging composition is very, very similar to the Icelandic national final. Very smooth and calm with a kind of like kumbaya like cowboy feel. Their vocals sound absolutely perfect. Very, very harmonious. The Icelandic language is absolutely and utterly gorgeous. Yeah, there's not much of a massive development from what happened in the national final. There's some cute bit where they say this really sweet Icelandic phrase and all 3 of them turn to the camera at the same time and back again. It's quite cute. Plus we have that split screen where there's the 3 of them, the 2 looking in onto the, I think she's the oldest sister. This has got this really like calm mood that we have a lot of in the first semi-final. Portugal have a similar mood and so do Switzerland. They're kind of like spaced apart. I think there's definitely merits for this. It's really pretty and calm. I was really enjoying this much more than I expected. I think I'm probably actually gonna end up downloading this, having seen the rehearsal now. I would love if this went through. It's kind of a hard one to call. I think the thing I struggle most with is like, is the televote really gonna be that big? There's so many of these songs. Is this gonna be the one that people are gonna choose the most? Is a little bit later on in the running order, so that's obviously going to help them. I think juries are going to give it a decent score, but then there's so many jury-friendly songs in this semi-final that I'm kind of saying that about everyone. So at some point, even if you do well with the juries, are you going to be in that top 10 with the juries, and then are you going to get cancelled out because your televote is not enough? So I'm going to probably have to put this in my borderline no, but like it's really close. I don't worry, I will actually commit to a final 10. I'll probably do it in a separate video because I don't want it to like take over the video, because this video is about rehearsals. It's not about my predictions. And also once I put my polls up, because I want to see how you guys are thinking about all the semi-final 1 songs, having seen the rehearsal clips. Now this was one of my bigs. I'm putting it the right way today. By the way, I did put the Dutch flag the right way. Sorry about that yesterday. Oh, Armenia today really blew my mind. This was a massive surprise for me. I was not expecting to like this so much. This is so massively endearing. She's got I don't want to ruin it because there's a couple of surprises in it. You'll have seen one of the small surprises in the rehearsal clip, which is that behind the thing that looks like toilet paper, it's meant to be post-it notes, but it does kind of look a little bit like toilet paper. She kind of tears it down a little bit like an advent calendar, and there's lyrics from the song on the wall. It's so charming when you see it for the first time. Really pretty, and kind of like these secret messages, and it feels fun and thoughtful. The whole thing is very sweet and charismatic. There's another kind of like bigger surprise then, which I won't reveal because I want you to see it for yourself. But overall, the staging is really well thought out, slick, professional looking. They've brought their own big set there. And this is why I think it was drawn last, and that bringing it in, and also it does have a real wow factor in it. This is definitely and utterly qualifying now, no doubt about it whatsoever. Plus her live vocals sound really great. The staging is really clever. I actually think it's not unthinkable that this can start challenging into the top 10, because it's really got that whole package feel. She's great as well. She acts well during it, because it does feel like the song has a story behind it, and it just feels like something's happening. It's very memorable. You'll see when it happens. Okay, and then last but definitely no means least, you know I love these guys. I watched all 3 runs through for this. It gave me a real happy, buzzy feeling in my chest. Look, it's not massively different from the national final. It's just more an upgrade in terms of the stage. Obviously the stage is bigger and we've got some ground LEDs. Don't think they use the ground LEDs that much actually. Their dance moves are great. It feels like the kind of like robot the voice that goes yam yam, that feels a little bit more amplified, sounds a little bit more expensive. We have the pop-on graphics that come on with like grandma, mama. Some of them actually cut away to like a space scene. Some of them are just graphics on top of the performance. Overall though, everything looks really great. They're hitting all their marks. Maybe a couple of times they will kind of hit a mark and then they would maybe be waiting a little bit long. It felt like, oh fuck, I need to vote in the press poll. I'm gonna go vote in the press poll quickly. I just finished voting in the poll. One of my votes did go towards Norway. But vocally they sounded great. All 3 performances went really well. They've practiced this a lot, and that's the benefit of the fact that they've kept their Melody Grand Prix staging. They've done all the pre-shows. They feel real comfortable in this. I heard them afterwards talking, by the way, I could hear it was Ben Adams because I could hear him talking to the director afterwards. But I could hear them giving like small directions, but it really was real nitpicky stuff. This is already really completed. They're practiced and they're ready to go. This has definitely got a shot to win the televote in the first semi-final, even though Ukraine are there. I don't know if this can win anymore, but I think definitely it should be in the running to win the televote, hopefully in the final as well, and do top 10. I'm thinking maybe it can come like 5th to 7th is where I'm kind of like potentially hoping this is. But I will say that this move up to 7th in the odds after the performance. Most of the lighting for the performance is blue and yellow, which I feel is like a nice nod to Ukraine. It's not so obvious that it's like blue at the top and yellow at the bottom, but it's kind of like interspersed, and it does look like it's a slight nod to Ukraine. And the majority of the color scheme is this kind of like pulsating yellow circles is the main LED in the background, and then like a bit of space elements as well. I love this, but I was always going to love it because it's my number 1 this year. What do you expect? Okay, so we'll take like a small interlude here. I've picked 6 to go through, and then the other 4 I will probably do like a small video once I've seen your votes from the community polls, and I'll factor that in with what I've seen, and I'll give you a final top 10 that I will have to commit to and answer to the jury if I got it really, really badly wrong, and I'll have egg all over my face. Okay, so let's stop at this point, and I'm gonna reset this board, and we're gonna go to semi-final 2. Okay, we've reset our prediction board. We're starting with semi-final number 2 now. Now, who am I most excited to tell you about? I'm most excited to tell you about Serbia. Bloody hell, I'm excited to tell you about Serbia. I'm putting it here. I'm not putting it my definite yes, just because there is always that slight concern that people might get this. Okay, so here I'm going to tell you about the staging because there's a lot of how are they going to adapt it to the Eurovision stage. First of all, they've put a couple of subtitles in. So at the front, in this kind of like quite simple black and white font, we've got subtitles for a couple of the phrases in Serbian, the key phrases. It is slightly odd at the start because when she says, "What's the secret of Meghan Markle's hair?" What is the secret of Meghan Markle's hair? It actually cuts away to the entire screen with one subtitle across the middle. So it's very, it's quite abrupt and a bit surprising that they've done that, but obviously it gets the message across quite clearly. The rest of the subtitles are kind of at the bottom. All of the Latin lyrics at the end have this subtitle. So I do think that they've put in, not everything, but enough that you kind of get the message. There's also definitely one key bit is when she says, "I don't have health insurance." That's been translated, it's been changed into "I am on my own," and it says that at the bottom. So they've picked out the key parts to kind of help you understand the song. Not everything is translated, obviously. So it's good because it's not too much, it's not overbearing, it's just enough translation that you need. Visually, this is so iconic. I think this is the type of performance that people are going to remember for years. You know when BBC always does these like famous performances, it's the type of one that they're going to put in those little vignettes. The visuals are really sharp. They've got this beautiful color palette of this kind of very dangerous blood red with this beautiful aquamarine teal and black. It's a really, really nice juxtaposition. A lot of the visuals from the national performance, but they've added in a couple of new ones. They've got these really, really, really distinct aquamarine clapping hands in the background towards the end. We've got some of the cross health signs on the ground as well. Her 5 acolytes are brilliant. They're dressed up kind of in like religious robes with towels around their neck, and they swing their towels at one point. There's lots of snappy cuts in between their faces. It's very sinister and intense. She's brilliant. Vocals are fantastic. There's one bit when she crosses and uncrosses her leg where her vocals become a little bit muffled, but they're going to probably watch that through and be able to see that they need to make a small correction on where her mic is. Otherwise though, her intensity is brilliant. This is so artistic. You know, I absolutely love it. If this doesn't qualify, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I'm gonna explode. I'm just gonna have a big explosion all over the screen. Hopefully that won't happen. It's just too dramatic. Okay, now who's the second person I'm excited about? Bloody hell. There were some really great performances today. I say out of the 10 performances I saw, I think 8 of them were excellent. One of them was a bit of a disaster, and one of them was just kind of meh. I'll say the disaster and the meh for later. I've told you about 4 of the good ones. Let's go to another great one. San Marino. Wow, this was just... I'm putting this kind of here, kind of high up in my borderline yeses. Keep in mind now, imagine there's a new axis where the higher up you are, the more like you are. This is just bloody brilliant. It's outrageous. He's got everything. He's got stripper cages. He's got a velvet mechanical bull. He's wearing sexy lingerie. He's going up and he's interacting and hugging with the guitarist. The guitarist is rocking out on the ground. I didn't see, but in the 3rd run through, apparently the guitars has got pyro coming out, and there's pyro coming out of the sides as well. I saw the 1st and 2nd run through. Vocally, this is fine as well. It's like a kind of like lazy, laid back vocal, but it suits the song. It sounds good. The song's so catchy now. I've got it stuck in my head. This is just come alive. He's gone all out. Super glam, dramatic, chaos, sex, debauchery. People are going to be talking about this. This is just a televote magnet. It's 7th in the running order, so there's plenty of people to be texting going, oh my god, did you see just what happened in Eurovision? This guy's crazy. He's brilliant. And we didn't even probably see the full thing. He's probably got some extra secrets up his sleeve because he's just mad. This is just... I wouldn't say it's come out of nowhere. I think we all kind of knew that Achille Lauro possibly had this up his sleeve. But yeah, I was like sleeping on it. I think I had this somewhere down here, and I'm like, feck, I need to bump this up. I don't even know who I'm kicking out yet. I just know I'm kicking out someone. I really do think this is going to go through. It's just so huge. Jury wise, I'm not sure. I think this has a musicality to it. It's well sung, it's well performed. You know, they kind of like pushing the limits with the bull and the sex. I suppose that's going to turn a couple of jury members off, but then it also feels like very legitimate as a song, and it's this great rock song. I don't think the juries are going to mark it down too much, but that's something we need to wait and see. That is a possible Achilles heel. I wasn't going to say that. Sorry, that was not planned. I apologize for that awful pun. Okay, I have to go on to this one now. This is not what I'm excited about, but it's a good link. I need to talk about Finland. Finland, like this. No, because you're backwards. Yes, everything's backwards. Guys, this was messy. Oh God, this was real messy. I'm putting it maybe... Oh God, this was uncomfortable. Larry's vocals were not good, and they were not good on all 3 of them. It's got a weird starting as well. He's standing there in a raincoat and he's got a balloon, a yellow balloon. It looks really odd. It doesn't look kind of like arty, weird art. It just looks properly strange. He's kind of standing there. He looks a bit deranged. He's got this balloon. He lets go of the balloon, but it just stays there. And then he walks out, and the whole time you're just thinking, why is his vocal so bad? So it's just this really car crashy starting where it just doesn't start well. It gets a little bit better then because they're like jumping around, but it looks so unrehearsed. They miss so many of their camera cues, not just Lowry. There's the first one definitely, I remember, because he was meant to come around the balloon and he was just waiting on them. So we're looking at, there's lots of balloons on the stage. We're just staring at this balloon, and then he's late coming around, and then in the second cut, the male guitarist totally missed one of his cuts, and then you see him running around because he's late. Oh God, it was so messy. And then the vocals, it's really hard to miss. Obviously the instrumentation sounds perfect because that's pre-recorded, but anything that's live, which is basically the vocals, it just sounded really obviously poor. The crescendo still works, where which I think is the strongest part of the song. You're coming into the end where it's like really the lots of Jezebels one after another with the like kind of rock bits. That all works. The guitar solo looks cool. But I think juries are going to mark this down because the vocal is really off, and I think that they'll feel a little bit like they're obligated to penalize it because of that, because that's kind of quote unquote their job. Look, I'm not saying this is completely out, but why? It's weird that he's written himself a song that he can't sing. Like he can't sing it, because it's gotten to the point now we've heard his vocals be off so many times. It's like, okay, you can't always be that sick, and you can't always be having an off day. Like, this is 5 or 6 times now where I've heard the vocals be, well, I suppose there's 4 times I've heard the vocals be off. So yeah, I'm properly worried for this. It's first in the running order. It needs to make a big impact. I still think it's a really solid rock pop song, and that's why I'm not dumping it down further, because I do think that juries can help this a lot. This did very well the Euro jury. It came 8th. So, but that was with the radio edit, not with the live version. So I don't know. This second semi-final, again, the other thing, and this is the reason I want to put them after each other as well, I'm looking to kick out someone because of San Marino. Who's the most obvious candidate? It's Finland. San Marino kills Finland here. Really, it just makes them look quite tame. Well, honestly, San Marino makes everyone look quite PG because he's so out there, but he just delivers a better rock performance. It just feels, it sounds correct. Even though his vocals don't sound immaculate, it fits the song perfectly. It sounds correct, whereas Laurie's vocals sound wrong, and it just gives you a feeling that San Marino just looks more polished and put together and just completed. And keep in mind, it wasn't just the vocals with Finland, it was just them missing all the cues and looking like they hadn't rehearsed. Oh, real messy. Okay, let's go to something a little bit different, a bit of a surprise for me, and that is Israel. Now, I'm going to put this a little bit and keep in mind, this is me moving it up because I originally had it somewhere around here, so I've moved it up a level and a bit. The reason I'm moving it up is this is so slick. This is polished and perfected. Fair play to him and his team, because the whole thing from start to finish, it's really stark contrast to Finland, who it follows, who were really disorganized. This is perfectly organized from start to finish. Everyone's in the right place. Everyone is hitting all their marks. He's got 4 dancers in a similar outfit to him. They're all wearing white. They hit every single mark. It's just professional. It looks like a really well produced show. And this is what I was saying about Israel having that 5 qualification streak. It's not by accident. It's because they really do come with something very put together and thought out. Michael deserves a little bit of credit now, because no one's talking about him as one of the vocalists this year. Everyone's talking about Sheldon Riley and Achman and Nadir. Michael's got a great vocal. It's a different vocal. It's a little bit more showgirly and performance and Broadway, but it's still a strong vocal. He nailed every single rendition of this, and they were all different. They all had like a different personality flair in it. Look, I'm not saying this is going to qualify. It's still second in the running order. This is very definitely one of Israel's weaker songs, but I was impressed by how much of a fight they're giving. Oh, also, there's lots of visuals on the floor and camera angles from above. Really strong, bold, square graphics in black, white, and red. Probably my favorite graphics of anyone we've seen so far. Most of the time it says I'm. We also get some triangle graphics, which are like just really, really, really bold, geometric graphics. Are really, really, really stunning. This whole thing, it just looks totally put together. I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of scraped in 10th spot, especially if some other people mess up their staging. Okay, let's go on a different note. Let's talk about Malta. I'm still gonna put this in the running. I find the semi-final so hard to call. I don't think I'm gonna put anyone in the nose or not. Like, there's no one who I'm just like, at this point, that I just think is done in the water. This is simple staging. It's kind of the basic bitch of staging. She looks gorgeous. She could look gorgeous in absolutely anything. She's got like a disco ball silver dress on. She's got her hair tied back. She starts standing on a piano and does a couple of courses, and then she moves to the front along the walkway to the central secondary stage. She's got 4 dancers there, and they do some goofy dancing and they do some slow clapping. It's very, very predictable. It's pretty much exactly what you would have thought. She did bring the piano on. She doesn't sit and play the piano. She just stands on it. By the way, did you know that I can play the piano? And I'm going to show that off by standing on it. Vocally, she sounds great. She's a really, really, really pretty girl. This is targeting that pope, nun, churchgoer, family friendly, the people who can't sleep at night because of Ranella. Or can't sleep at night because of San Marino. I love the fact that you've got this incredibly Christian pop performance followed by this hellish, debaucherous Moulin Rouge nightmare. It is definitely on purpose. There's no doubt about it. It's 100% on purpose. There's also the fact that they've got to drag on her gigantic piano, because like the piano's on top of a stage, so it's quite awkward. And then they need to bring on Achille Lauro's cages and mechanical bull. So there's also a practical element that they need as much time as possible. Keep in mind that the break is after the 6th song. So Malta's 6th and San Marino 7th. So they needed as much time as possible to do all that moving around. So there is a practical reason, but I think there's also a little bit of a screw you. We're going to put the most angelic song and the most demonic song beside each other because we want a contrast. And I think it's kind of brilliant. Look, this is definitely going to market if there are people who want that family friendly feel good I am what I am. The color story is these beautiful golds and silvers. It's very pretty, I think this will definitely appeal to a lot of the younger kids. I think they'll really, really love this. Like, I want to be Emma Muscat. Well, I want to be Emma Muscat as well. I'm not a kid, but I wouldn't vote for her. So yeah, I think there's an audience for this. It's catchy, the song isn't the worst, it's very predictable and cliche and generic, but it's catchy and it's got some merits to it. There's some people who are going to like this, so that is why I don't want to dump it down too far, because I don't want to dig myself into a hole. Okay, 2 left. Let's talk about one I'm very excited about, and that was Azerbaijan. I'm putting this here quite high up on my borderline yeses. This is really stunning. Another one that was very, very well rehearsed. All 3 of his run-throughs were perfection. He hit every single mark. His vocals were great. A little bit of a spluttering on the 3rd rehearsal when he hit the big notes, but I do feel like he was going for something a little bit risky because he already had 2 good ones in the back, so I felt like he was kind of experimenting a little bit. He looks great. I love his styling. It's very simple, almost like sweatpants. He's a very handsome guy. He's got very interesting features as well because he's kind of like a little bit ginger, but he's still got Azeri looks as well. He's got like quite a ginger beard. Some interesting camera angles as well. We're looking up at him. They've got him starting on kind of like bleacher stairs. There's a dancer who mirrors his moves. They do like mirrored choreography, but the dancer doesn't come in until the 2nd third. The 1st third is him with some like interesting artistic camera angles. Plus we get a little bit of like thunder graphics in the background. His vocals are immaculate. The start of the 2nd third, we start getting into this like mirrored dancing. He's got one dancer with him. They're kind of like always in kind of like symmetrical parts of the screen. And then as we come up to the big crescendo, the performance really does feel like it has a story and builds up to that. That crescendo is absolutely mind-blowing. Like, I had proper, like, it took my breath away all 3 times because it builds up to these images which you've probably seen before, but the bleachers separate and the 2 of them are standing there almost like shouting at each other, and there's these blinding white lights behind them. It is absolutely and utterly, it's a real standout wow moment. Now, whether that one very incredible moment is enough to carry the whole performance, I think so, because he's also got some other strong images. That one image is very, very prominent and special, and it's going to stick in people's minds. It's really, really great. It has a slight nod to 2013 with Farid Makhminadov. I can never remember his surname, where you have that cement. Remember where he was in the glass and they were like touching hands? It has like kind of like symmetry dancing. It's slightly referential to that. But yeah, Nadir's vocals are just amazing. He hits every single note at the end. I think this is going to go through on the strength of its already conceptual staging, plus his great vocals, plus the dancing's really nice. It's got some really beautiful tableaus. Like I said, the crescendo tableau is almost enough on its own. Televote wise, I think it'll do okay. I don't think it's going to go massively so, because I do feel that there's maybe some people who will check out from the start. They mightn't feel like it's something that they're going to be into because they don't know the crescendo is coming. So that you do have to have a little bit of patience with this one, and that's maybe why I'm not putting it like massively up high. Okay, and the last song of the day is Georgia. Now, where am I putting this? I'm going to put this maybe here. half and half, maybe a little bit lower than half. So this staging is really psychedelic, bright, big, bold, beautiful colors. Their styling is similar to some of the pre-shows. So this kind of like steampunk dystopian. Nika has this garden beard. The guy in the center has like these steampunk goggles like an aeronaut. The visuals behind them are hyper bold, really bright pinks and purples, fuchsias with a kind of teal and black, a little bit similar to the teal that Konstrakta has. It's very in your face and impactful, these really bright colors. We've got a lot of talking lips as well in purples and pinks, and that is kind of the main graphic that you'll see on the sides. You'll also see a lot on the ground. Those kind of like cheap looking Windows screensaver graphics that we had in the pre-show are mostly gone. There's a couple of them, but they look upgraded a little bit. But overall, the visual graphics on this are very, very, very bold. That slight repetitive element of the song in the chorus, I don't feel it's fully managed. There is a slight element of like, okay, waiting. I don't feel like they filled in that waiting part completely. There is one element when we get into the second half where the pirate with the eye patch opens up like a music box and there's some dancing stuff inside, but they really don't move in this, which I don't know, I feel is a slight mistake. There's 4 of them on stage. They had room for 2 people to come on and just be weird and wacky, but that's the decision that they didn't do. We also get some of those clown visuals on the sides as well, with a like bright black background. I believe that clown with the fringe is in teal against red. So these really stark, jarring imagery. Look, I would love this to go through. I think it's so different. I think it's representing this kind of like rock, indie, pop, mix. I think it's really different. I love how daring and unique that Georgia are. I wish they had been a little bit more strategic in making the chorus feel less repetitive and a little bit less work to sit through. But visually, I think this is going to wake a lot of people up. It's really different in how psychedelic and trippy and weird that it is, and totally out there. People will be confused, but then there'll also be some people who are kind of like, will find it appealing and very different. So I still think this has got a shot. It's 5th in the running order. I think it's going to come down largely to how everyone else is. If you made me say, I think I'm biased towards it because I enjoy the song so much, so I would probably have to slip it down just a tiny bit. If you made me say, Tom, at this point, do you think this is going to go? I'd say, okay, if I have to bet my house on it or £1 million, I would say no, it's not going to. I think that's the safer bet. Love it though if it went through. This is just in my top 10. I don't know, once we kind of see all these like songs that are really elevated by staging, if it's still going to be there at the end. Okay, so we've had 7 songs from semi-final 2 so far. This is how I'm currently seeing it. I've got kind of 3.5 songs qualifying and 3.5 who aren't, but I don't think there's anyone that you can write off. There's also the first rehearsals for the big 5 today. I'm not allowed to watch those. Nobody's allowed to watch the first rehearsals. They're done in private. I will see the photos of that. So if I get those photos, I might do a video just on those photos, because I think it's worth it, because we've got 3 of the favorites there, Spain, Italy, and the UK. But tomorrow we have the rest of the songs from semi-final number 2. That is 11 songs. So I'll have another video tomorrow with those 11 songs in it, and then I can kind of complete this. I will start putting up the community polls now for semi-final number 1, because all of those rehearsal clips have been released, so you guys can have a look at those clips, see how your opinions change, and then we can compare the polls from the first ones that we did with the second ones, and we can see how are things changing up, and then I can do my prediction videos. Okay, let me know what you think. What was your biggest surprise? Let me know in the comment section down below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another reaction video very soon. Goodbye.